Today is the first day of 2023, and I think it is time to release my first ever free-to-play farming guide for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm going to go over the order in which I think you should farm characters in the journey guide, and just elsewhere how you should build up your team, and work your way through up all the way until the end game, where you start making your own decisions on what to do in the game. Now, this is a complicated game, so it's a lot to go over. I have a lot of things to talk about. Here's the table of contents. You can look below in the description to skip towards a specific chapter if you want to see that, or if you just want to watch the whole thing straight through. This is the order I choose to go over it in for a cohesive explanation. So what are our free-to-play objectives in a pay-to-play game? First of all, we want to have fun. This game is a marathon and a grind. It's not a sprint. So try to get your favorite characters, not just chase the meta. If you want to go off script from this plan to get something you like, that's a great idea. I think this is a very complex game. I do think it's still worth playing in 2023, even starting new. I don't think you should chase or compare yourselves to endgame players. They're never going to catch up to a player that's 10 to 12 million. Starting for free in 2023, unless they quit and then you play for like 5 years, 6 years after that. Straight and don't miss anything, but it's still fun even if you're not going to compete with the best in the world. I still think it's a great game worth playing, and to make sure you get as much as you can out of it, you want to take advantage of every resource available to you in the game. This means energy popping up, crystals, currencies, events with guilds and individual, and then giveaways that the Capital Games, the studio that produces this game, does. Just try to get everything because you need every little bit to get ahead. Join the best guild you possibly can. Don't skip starter guilds right away. Do not join the starter guild. And just find the best guild that'll carry you and just really lock into the community. If you don't have Discord yet, just download that. You're going to need it to communicate with your guildmates. And it's really an enjoyable experience, and part of the game is the community. You want to focus on ships for your crystals. I'm going to go over that later in its own element, but this first section of the Journey Guide farming order is predominantly focused on characters, because that's why people love Star Wars. That's probably why they're playing the game. They're trying to collect the characters, but you also need to focus on your ships and your fleet to be able to get that freemium currency and progress through the game to get those characters you want. And last, don't chase a galactic legend immediately. You want to get the easy unlocks first and foremost, and that means you're walking before you can run. A lot of farming guides focus only on the Galactic Legend portion, which take a tremendous amount of investment, a very long time. You're not going to get a payoff for a very long time, so we want to get those easier unlocks first, even if you're not able to dominate with a Galactic Legend right away, because you're not going to be able to anyway. If you're playing free, it's going to take probably over a year to get your first one, so enjoy yourself in that first year along the way. And now we get to the Journey Guide recommended order, and this is the crux of most free-to-play farming guides. I am choosing to take kind of a classic approach, an old school approach, because I think it is advantageous to chase a lot of unlocks that are easy, especially since gear has been really eased up at the end of 2022 and farming shards. To start out, we're going to go for a few 5-star unlocks. These characters, if you haven't seen them before in Star Wars, these are the Phoenix Squad, and they're from the show Star Wars Rebels. You're going to want them. This team alone can unlock you both Emperor Palpatine and Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn's also from the same show. And that can get your Empire team going real fast. The icons right above each character are the resources you're going to use to get them. And what's great about Phoenix is you acquire them with a lot of currencies that you can go through pretty fast and unlock them fully quickly, except for Ezra and Hera. You want to split farming them with your Cantina energy. So anytime a character pops up in this guide that I haven't shown before, I'm going to show how you acquire them. So you can unlock Emperor Palpatine and Thrawn at 5 stars, and you need each character at 5 stars. Do not gear them past gear 8. Palpatine, the event is a little easier. Thrawn is a little bit more difficult, but these both work for the same thing. So they're pretty efficient, and another big reason I think you should use Phoenix in the beginning instead of another approach is they have really good sustain ability. They can heal themselves up, and that'll help you get through Galactic War, which is a very important game mode in the beginning of the game before you hit level 85. Next, to unlock Yoda, you need 5 Jedi. Any Jedi, you probably only need them at gear 8 or so, but these are the Jedi you're going to have or have already. from these two unlocks, or you're going to want. Mace Windu is easy to get now in the Squad Arena store, and he is very strong. He was reworked in 2022, so he's a great early character. Old Ben Kenobi, he's needed for another unlock, so you want him as well for the Jedi. And Jedi Knight Anakin is an amazing Jedi, so you want him of his own accord, so it's just good to have him as one of your 5 early Jedi to unlock Yoda. Another option is Ahsoka Tano. She's great in a Galactic Republic squad or with Jedi, and she comes from a Cantina store energy. And this green one, that's from the Galactic War store, which is what you're going to get through easily with your Phoenix. The next couple characters are R2-D2 and Commander Luke Skywalker. R2-D2 isn't so good that he merits chasing on his own, but he is needed to unlock Luke Skywalker, Commander Luke Skywalker, and he's needed at 7 stars. And to do so, you need Empire. You should have these 2 characters already from up here. Grand Moff Tarkin's easy to farm. Moff Gideon is an amazing early game player. You get him with normal energy. And then TIE Fighter Pilot, he has a ship. He has the TIE Fighter, and he comes with Cantina energy, so you can farm him quickly. That's why I recommend getting them for R2-D2, but there's plenty of options. And then for Commander Luke, this is the first character we're unlocking where we need specific characters. Phoenix is almost all specific characters, but there's one other Phoenix member you can leave out. There's Sabine, which we're not going to get. So you need Stormtrooper Han from the Cantina store, R2-D2 Journey Guide, Princess Leia from the Squad Arena store, and then Farm Boy Luke from Cantina. So these 2 characters, not very good. Luke and Leia, not very good at all. Old Ben, pretty decent. R2, pretty decent. Stormtrooper Han has some good use, but you don't want to gear them very high. You want to gear them between 7 and 9, and then stop after that once you get Commander Luke, because they're not going to be a focus for you. Next, we're going to a couple of 5-star unlocks. We got Padme, who needs Separatists, and the easiest way to get that is to unlock Jango Fett, who's a bounty hunter, but also a Separatist. You want to farm him immediately as soon as you can, because he's tagged. His node is shared with the best ship in the game, Bosk's ship, the Houndstooth. And Newt is a good leader because it makes him indestructible for a couple turns. And then you want these Geonosian characters, which, they're not something you love from Star Wars necessarily, but they have great ships, and that is a focus for us. So just having these 3 for their ships is probably a natural thing where you're accomplishing 2 things in one. Or you can just wait until you can 7-star your Geonosian Brood Alpha and win and get through that way. But Padme is a 5-star unlock. She works great with Galactic Republic, and once you get her, you can split up your Galactic Republic Jedi and other Jedi and make 2 teams with that. Next, we got Chewbacca, a 5-star unlock, and this is the hardest event so far in this. Padme, you can beat it with, I think, You can beat it with lower gear than gear 10 and 11 with Jango. But the bounty hunters, you really need at least gear 10 to 12. And these are the characters I think make a great cohesive team on their own for use otherwise, and can probably deal with the event just as well. A lot of old guides use Dengar, but I don't think you need to focus on him early, because you got the Mandalorian and Grief Karga available early for normal energy, so they're easy to get. Boba Fett's easy to get in the Cantina store, and then Bosk is a later farm, but you want to work on him as soon as possible. And last on this slide for kind of the early-ish game, is Jedi Knight Revan. I love Jedi Knight Revan. I think you should go for him over Darth Revan first, because he only has 1 Cantina energy farm, and he has 2 necessary characters, Mission and Zalbar, shared on the same node. So you're farming, you're only spending the energy once, but you're getting both these characters, so it's much faster. And then Bastila and Jolee are great characters for a Jedi team very early. You want to get Bastila very soon. Even if she's at 2 stars, she's pretty viable. And Jolee is great as well. Once you get his Zeta, he can revive a whole Jedi team on his own. Along the way, you're going to be able to unlock some legendary ships. I didn't want to have it in the exact same kind of path that I have the characters on, but this is the Chimera. This is a capital ship piloted by Grand Admiral Thrawn, and you unlock it at 5 stars using Phoenix ships. So there's 2 Phoenix ships, and they each have 3 pilots. This is Sabine Wren. She's farmed with normal energy. She's the Phoenix character you kind of leave out for those other unlocks. But you can get these ships in their Fleet Arena store, and also with normal energy eventually. So you want to farm these ships when you can. And then also, this is big, and you need at least one more rebel ship in addition to these two. So you can do it with just these two ships and big Starklighters ship, which you get him and his ship with Galactic Warsaw currency. You can also get his ship with Fleet Arena currency, which unlocks at level 60 once you unlock ships. And then an awesome ship, one of the best ships in the game, the Millennium Falcon, unlocks at 5 stars, and you get it with Bounty Hunter ships. And you're going to want to farm them anyway. I go over a very specific farming order for stuff later on, but you want them anyway for the Executor, which is an amazing capital ship. That's an end game goal. These three you get with normal energy, so it's kind of tough to split between those. But this ship you get with Fleet Arena currency and Fleet Energy. So we got Boba Fett's ship, IG-88. You get him in Squad Arena Store. You got Cad Bane with Galactic Warsaw currency. And then boss, you should already have him because of Chewbacca. Now we start getting to some of the tougher farms. These first two aren't super tough. We got the Mandalorian Beskar armor. You want to unlock him mainly for his ship. His ship is very important, the Razor Crest. All these characters you're farming through normal energy. Grief Karga and Mandalorian, you should already have them 7 stars from unlocking Chewbacca. IG-11 is on a shared node with Grief Karga, so he should be done. And then you only got to get Queel and Cara Dune, both on normal energy. He has a 7-star unlock, but since you're most of the way there just from Chewbacca, I think that's an easy target, and you can do it with some lower gear. Darth Revan is amazing. He's after BAM, which is the abbreviation for Beskar Armor Mando. It's after him and Jedi Knight Revan. Because he's got 2 Cantina energy farms, which take longer. They're higher energy nodes, and at that point in the game you're going to be at, it's like kind of hard to focus on all that. HK-47 is really easy. He's just Squad Arena currency. And then you got Bastila Shan Fallen, who is an amazing character, and Juhani, which is not as good, with normal energy. And then after that, you want to go for Ewoks. This event is probably one of the hardest events in the game. You're going to beat your head against the wall with it. And it's so hard because you don't want to gear your Ewoks very high. The absolute minimum possible is gear 9 at all for all Ewoks. I've never heard of anything below that with any gear 8. And these are the Ewoks you want to have. Chief Sharp as the leader with Cantina Energy, Wicket with normal energy, Logray from the Guild Events store or Guild Activity store. And they get Ewok Elder. He comes from a variety of sources, normal energy, Guild Activity tokens. And these are Bronzium packs. You're going to be able to open these. It's kind of a frustrating process, but you can get him for free just by opening those. And then Pat Blue with Cantina Energy. This is a very difficult event. It's a 5-star unlock, but you kind of put it off just because it's so difficult, and you want to work on other stuff other than Ewoks at the beginning. And next, we want Malik. So Malik is not the powerhouse he used to be in the game, but since gearing is easier at this time in 2023, and since we already went for both Revans, he is just a hop and a skip away. So you unlock him at 5 stars, and then you have to finish him off using this currency, which is Guild Event currency. You get it from territory battles, which I'll go into in a little bit. But you want to use these 5 characters from each unlock. So you got both the Revans and then 4 of the characters used to unlock them. The mission here on the light side path is Mission because she is not useful. T3 is a pilot for a ship. That's very important. And Zalbar is a decent tank. So you want to gear up these characters to 17,500 power. It's not a specific gear requirement, but most of them will need to be at gear 12. The Darth Revan, you want these 4. Bastila Shan and HK are on his team, so you want them anyway. Karth is is in that the Ebon Hawk, a great ship at T3 and 4. And Canderous is useful later on a Mandalorian team. So this is a very difficult unlock as well, but I recommend using these characters for it. And our first massive farm is Starkiller. So he requires characters at Relic 5, which is past Gear 13, and then you bump them up to Relic 5 using Relic materials, which is scrap from other pieces of gear, and Cantina Energy. So it's very hard to get him, but you want to start getting some Relic 5 characters, and these are great ones to go for because they have accelerated farms. They drop 2 shards at a time because they're just over a year old, and they're all very good characters. Talon can slot into a Sith team pretty well. Kel-Katarn is a Jedi and goes with Rebel Fighters, which you're not going to work on Rebel Fighters early, but he is good to go with just your normal Jedi. Dash Render is amazing on its own, has a ship, and March 8 is just pristine with the Empire. So all things you want to go for, less characters required than a Galactic Legend, which you'll see, which is why I want to go for them first. And he works very well in Grand Arena, and works pretty decent in Territorials as well. You can make a lot of different compositions with him because he wants a Jedi, a Sith, and then a light side and dark side unaligned Force user. But he's a great character. I think he's a good staggered payoff to get to at this point in the game. And then there are some characters which are afterthoughts in the journey guide. You want to get these once you are going for Galactic Legend Rey or Jedi Master Kenobi, both of whom I'm not really covering in this guide because they're not my recommended first Galactic Legend. But BB-8 you unlock with first order characters. You probably this is going to happen when you're going for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. A lot of them are pretty easy to get. These are if you just want a BB-8, you just want to go ahead and get them. These are probably the easiest characters to do it with. These 3 plus 2, because Kylo Ren, you farm his ship at the same time with his Cantina energy. Phasma is easy in the Galactic War Store. First Order Officer is in the Cantina Store. And then Jedi Training Rey, you really want to skip her because she has a lot of Cantina energy farms, which is kind of it's a very scarce resource because everything wants Cantina energy. And you know, they're not as good characters, so you just want to skip them. She is kind of underwhelming as a legendary. There's some cool stuff you can do with her, but she's worth skipping at least early on. If you thought Starkiller or Malik were hard farms, wait till you see the Executor. We want to go for the Executor before Galactic Legend because there's only 2 dominant fleets in the game right now, the Executor and the Profundity. Executor is easier to get and focuses on some other characters you're going to want elsewhere, and you're going to have a lot more progress towards this at this point in the game. And you want an amazing fleet because it will help you dominate Grand Arena at your level and help you stay at the top of Fleet Arena and get those crystals, which are so important to the free-to-play experience. So you need all these characters at various relic levels. These 4 at R5, these up top R7 and R8. R8 is a little harder. It's kind of gated behind a raid that you need Relic 5 to participate in. So that might take some time to get. Darth Vader is an incredible character. You should be working on him anyway, and taking him to Relic 7 is just kind of accelerating something that would be inevitable anyway. You get him through the Fleet Store and Daily Achievements. He's the only character in Daily Achievements. And the Pit's awesome. He's a piloted ship. You want him this high. And you also need all these ships at 7-star, which is easier because you should have the Bounty Hunters already. You should be working on Razor Crest as often as you can, buying him in the Fleet Store, kind of top priority there. And then Darth Vader, his ship, TIE Fighter Pilot, and TIE Bomber make a great fleet with the Chimera. So it's not a sacrifice to get them, and you get them through a combination of Fleet Arena currency, Guild Store currency, Fleet Energy, and then for the Bomber, you get it just through normal energy, but it's definitely a worthwhile farm. So this is our first massive farm, and I definitely recommend it before you get any other GLs. But once we do have Executor, we do want to start going for our first Galactic Legend, which is Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. And he requires a lot to get. Basically, the whole First Order faction, plus veteran smuggler Han Solo. You need varieties of Relic 7 from this top row to Relic 5 down to the Executioner, and then a few Relic 3s. You get them from these sources. You can note them all. I'm not going to narrate all of them. But what also takes a while is you need this capital ship. You need, you need 5 stars to unlock Supreme Leader Kylo. This is the finalizer with Hux as the pilot, and you need all these ships. But you should have these 3 anyway. The Bounty Hunter ships. You should have Darth Vader anyway. These are going to be the ones you need to farm. This is easier because it's on the same node as Kylo Ren Unmasked. This is easy because it's the Galactic War Store and Fleet Arena Store. But the one you're really going to need to farm and take some time is the First Order Shuttle, or the Command Shuttle with Kylo Ren, Phasma, and First Order Stormtrooper. And we want to go for Kylo Ren first because, believe it or not, this is the easiest farm, or one of the easiest for all Galactic Legends. And he's very useful. He can solo the Sith raid. He's great in PvP. He's great in PvE. He's just really strong all around, but really the ease of acquisition is one of his big highlights. and he's way better than Sith Eternal Emperor, who is easier to get but not as useful with his requirements or what he can actually do in the game. If you get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, it's up to you to choose your path. You can either go for General Skywalker, which is kind of like Malak. You get him at 5 stars, and then need to bump him up with his Guild Event Store token. But it takes a while, so we're not going to do him back-to-back with Malak. And he just takes a ton of investment on his own. You need all these characters at 17,700 power. Kenobi, he's from a raid specific. I'm going to go over raids in a second. Shaak Ti is from Fleet Arena currency. And then all these characters, this is most of a Separatist droids team plus Asajj Ventress, who is a Night Sister. Night Sisters are not a priority in the game, but this makes a pretty decent squad, so you can go for that. You also need Galactic Republic ships at 40,000 power each, which we're kind of gonna delay getting the Negotiator because you have to get it with this Guild Event 2 token, and you can only do one at a time. You can do this or General Grievous's ship, which is what I'm going to focus on in a second. I'm going to show you that. But this is a great fleet, so it's not a sacrifice. And if you can't get a Negotiator, you can use Mace Windu's ship, because Mace Windu is a good character now. And that's one of the standard ships you unlock in the game. Or you could go for more Galactic Legends. And one of these three is what I'd recommend after Supreme Leader Kylo. Sith Eternal, because he's the easiest. You can get him kind of the fastest. Jedi Master Kenobi, because he's the best. So if you have Wat Tambor at 7 stars, which you get through a guild territory battle, I'd recommend going for him second. And Jabba's also pretty good. He's easy-ish, but he requires Jedi Knight Luke, which is a super unlock. I'm not really going over that today, but he's kind of like a Galactic Legend on his own, and he's required for Jedi Master Luke. But that's kind of like the stopping. That's a real restraint on getting Jabba, but they're all good options. They are just really good. Any Galactic Legend is good, but definitely Supreme Leader Kylo first, and then Jedi Master Kenobi if you can. Otherwise, I'd probably go for Sith Eternal. Now we finally get to the guild content. So guilds are extremely important in the game. Join one as a good one as fast as you can, and at the beginning you want to kind of keep bumping up guilds, but you do want to build a community. But early game guilds are there for a purpose, and you don't want to stick with them forever or you're not going to grow. The raids, you get primarily a lot of gear, and you get guild activity tokens, which you can buy characters and other gear with, but focus on characters first. And you unlock Han Solo, Traya, and General Kenobi when you have 7-star characters, so you can participate in these raids. The pit raid and this tank raid are going to be simmed by a guild, probably. So you're going to get 10 free shards every time of these characters every time it's run. And Sith raid is more important because it has way better gear for getting from gear 12 to gear 13. You unlock Traya, who you're not going to focus on immediately, but she's still very strong, and she has an amazing Omicron ability, which makes you good in a specific game mode, Grand Arena in her instance. And this is a challenge to your pit raid. This is the newest raid that requires Relic 5 to participate, and you get Relic 8 materials. There's a lot of other stuff you need for Relic 8, but this is definitely a gate for it. So you need to start working on this before you can actually get Executor. The next part of guild content is another PvE, territory battles. This is where you're all working together. You get across a board, a battle map. And Geonosis is probably where you're gonna want to park for as long as you can. There's a new Rise of the Empire TV territory battle, but don't focus on that because that is way end game. So you get Guild Event 1 tokens, Guild Event 2, you get some crystals, get a lot of gear, and you get specific characters from each. Wat Tambor, very important, from Darkside Territory Battle. He's unlocked using Geonosians. And then Ki-Adi-Mundi is unlocked using Shaak Ti and the clones. So important to get them, as I'll go into in a second. He's a strong character of his own accord. And last, we got Territory Wars. And Territory Wars is player versus player content, where your guild goes up against another guild. There's different zones. You have to set your defense and attack theirs. It's a very fun part of the game. And you get a little bit of everything. Yeah, you get Zeta Mats. And you get Droid Brains, which are Relic 9 materials, but don't think about that now. That's at least at 300 million Galactic Power guilds. But you get gear from that and Zeta Mats, which is important in the early game. Okay, and now we're starting to get towards the resource management section of the guide. Crystal management is extremely important. It's your most important resource in the game. It lets you get basically everything else. You can expect to get 100 to 150 crystals from your daily activities. Once you're level 85, the bare minimum daily payout is 55 crystals from being in Carbonite 5, the bottom league of Grand Arena. But what's most important is Fleet Arena. I get rank 1 or 2 every day. If you get rank 1, you get 400 crystals. So that's why we want to focus on Executor. If you're not able to get rank 1 immediately or top 5, you should be able to once you unlock Executor. And then what we want to do with our crystals is buy energy first and foremost. It's going to be a long time before you start buying other stuff like gear or anything else with energy. But you want to do 3 normal energy refreshes a day that cost 50. 1 to 3 for Cantina, they cost 100, so it's very limiting. That's why Cantina farms are limiting in this guide. I do 3, but you're going to need a lot of crystals to do that, so you're probably only going to be able to if you are getting 1 in Fleet Arena. Then mod energy, it's important, it's kind of a grind, and it's complicated. I'm not covering mods in this guide, but there's plenty of guides out there, and I might make one in the future. Then you got ship energy, it unlocks at level 60. And this is cheap, it's 50, and you want 1 to 3. It's not as important as normal energy or Cantina energy, but that's how you want to use your crystals, is to buy energy and hold off on other stuff unless you really, really have to. So now we're on ships. I haven't talked about it as much as far as what you specifically do, but this is how you're going to try to work your way up the leaderboard in Squad Arena. So your first beginner fleet, I think probably Tarkin's ship with Geonosians is a good start. Admiral Akbar can actually work with the Geonosians as well, but these are very strong ships, and they build into your next fleet, which is the Malevolence, which is a great mid-game fleet. Used to be endgame for like a little over a year and a half ago, but the Geonosians are easy to farm, primarily in Galactic War. The characters, I've shown how you get them already. I'm going to go over the order we want to farm stuff in a second. But then all you need to add for Malevolence to be valuable, once you buy it with Guild Event 2 tokens, is 2 pilotless ships. You got Hyena Bomber and Vulture Droid. So these are kind of tuned as Relic 7 in the game. So all you need to do is get their shards, and then this fleet is ready to go. So it's super easy to focus on and build up to. And that's going to be your team your fleet until you get Executor. And this is the lineup you want to use. Add 2. It's not super important. You also add whatever other reinforcements you have for the Geonosians, but they are the key to it. And so Executor is going to be dominant for you. And for light side ships, you're going to have Akbar with Millennium Falcon and Rebels for a while. That's going to be very useful. You might be using that for a little bit until you get Malevolence unlocked. But Malevolence is very important because it can counter mostly everything. It can beat Negotiator easily. It can counter Executor if you do it right. It can even counter Profundity on and off using these Geonosians. But Geonosians are important. You need them for ships, for fleet, help you unlock Padme, and then you need them to help a guild unlock Wat Tambor and convince the guild that you can join them to do Geonosis territory battle. And then Negotiator is a great ship, but you kind of want to wait until you finish Malevolence to start getting it. I'll get Malevolence to 7 stars before getting this to even 5. So this is a 5-star unlock, and then you get up to 6 and 7 stars. But it's up to you. If you want to change it up, feel free to do so. So what's different about this game is you don't farm teams at one time necessarily. You use different streams of income and different resources at a time. You can only use resources for specific things. So you might be working on one team and you've already finished one component of it, and you need to move on to something else with one of these currencies or energy, which I'll get to in a little bit. So we want to think of things as identify our various constraints and then determine what to do with those in each order. So that's what I'm doing here. This is a segment where if you're unsure of what to do with each currency, I'm going to pretty much spoon feed you on what to do and the order to buy things in. For Galactic War, this is probably going to be your fastest way to get characters. You can get like 30 shards a day. So Zeb is probably going to be your first 7-star character to let you be in raids. So we're going with him for Phoenix, Biggs for ships. Ships is very important, so you're going to skip a lot of characters and start farming the ships up top once they're available. Cad Bane for Executor, Poggle for the Geos, and Phasma for Supreme Leader Kylo eventually. In Squad Arena, you should be able to get 2 of these a day, as long as you're in top 200 in Squad Arena, which might not be doable. You get a lot from your daily activities, and then the rest from Squad Arena placement. You got Kanan for Phoenix, Mace for Jedi, Tarkin for ships, Leia for CLS, Newt is great with Separatists and to unlock Padme, and then the rest of these you can figure out what they're for. He's for ship, Akbar's for ships, and then HK-47. Savage, he's great. He has a great Omicron for Grand Arena, but that's only for level 85, so he's lower in the totem pole. Next for Cantina battles, this depends how much Cantina energy you spend a day. You're going to get it passively from all battles. You might be able to get 1 or 2 a day. In the orders Phoenix, Jedi, CLS, ships, and bounty hunters / scoundrels. And 5s is for clones, Undershot T, Qui-Gon, Great and Grand Arena, and then First Order Officer for Slicker, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Then guild activity, these are kind of spotty. They're not always visible. So for these 3 stores, every character is always visible all the time, and they just reset whenever the shipments refresh. But it's spotty. So this is the order you want to go in. You want to start getting low grade for Ewoks early because it takes a long time to finish them. But Sunfac, maybe even a priority over Old Ben. It depends. But I like Old Ben early for unlocking Yoda. This is Stark. He's good with Imperial Troopers, which aren't unlocking something, but they're good on their own. We got some clones here. And B2, which is for General Skywalker later, and that Separatist Droids team. And Fleet Arena. There's a lot in the store, so I didn't lay it all out, but the top priority is Darth Vader, General Grievous, and Razor Crest. If you see any of these pop up, buy them right away. That's your first target. After that, you want Geonosian ships, Empire ships, and or Bounty Hunter ships, which is in right here. You want Rebel ships as well, Galactic Republic ships, and then characters, of which I'd probably focus on the 501st clones. But there's just a lot there, and you're going to have to sift through it on your own to determine what you need, because there's just too much to lay out in one screen here. This screen is going to get a little crazy. There's a lot to focus on for normal energy, Cantina, and ships. I'm going to try to lay it out in a recommended order. Feel free to go off it. But light side and dark side use the same energy, so you're going to kind of split these priorities how you need to. So maybe you'll do 5 to 6 light side nodes in a day, or maybe you're working for 5 to 6 dark side nodes a day. And dark side battles do not only grant light of dark side characters, they grant light side too, as you see. And you need a lot of dark side characters on light side nodes, because otherwise it's hard to actually do the dark side battles. But these are my early focuses. We got Imperial Troopers coming in because they're going to be great for your early-ish dark side team. They can go with the other Imperials like Palpatine or so, but they make a cohesive team on their own. This is the leader, Veers, Piet, Dark Trooper, Moff Gideon. So that'll help you get through these dark side battles. We got Grief Karga and IG-11 early, same with Mando. And the bounty hunters are not only useful to unlock Chewbacca, they're also important for a training droid event in credit heist, which is good for credits. You need 5 scoundrels for those, and bounty hunters are pretty much all scoundrels, I believe. So that's easy. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So getting bounty hunters early is important as well. They're mixed squads, so maybe you use them in Cantina otherwise. You got Jedi, you start farming for Jedi Knight Revan. This note I put ASAP here because you want this as soon as you get to it, start farming this, because Houndstooth is incredibly important for ships. You slide it into any fleet you have. If we go back to the fleet section, you want to slot that any team you have, slot them in. Literally any, like under Tarkin, under Malevolence especially, and then under Executor, definitely want to go for it. And then Queel is double with the TIE Bomber, so this will help you make a good Empire fleet as well while you're farming for Beskar Armor Mando. But Bosk and his ship are super priority. And the other ships, Bounty Hunter ships, are important for a lot of reasons we already discussed. I got some more Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan farms. Range Trooper finishes out Imperial Troopers pretty well. We got Nihilus, who I haven't mentioned yet. He's great with Sith under Traya, but he's not used to unlock anything. And the Emperor Shuttle is a great unlock. Mara Jade is listed at 10 because the Starkiller farm is later on, but she is amazing on her own, so feel free to bump her up. And then 3PO and Chewie rounds out a Commander Luke Skywalker team, in addition to Chewbacca and Han Solo, which you're getting from other sources or trains. And here we go. We got Cantina, which there's a lot in there. And at first you want to focus on unlocks and ships, as we see from Geonosians and TIE Fighter Pilot on these Rebels. You want to get Geonosian Brood Alpha as soon as you can. And mainly you want to just unlock him. That's what's really important. So if you get him to 4 stars and level him to like 70 something, you really make your Geonosians take off. So that's why he's important to at least unlock right away. And then the rest are for Journey Guide farms, as we've seen, ending with Starkiller. Then for fleet energy, it's just a variety of ships. You can switch up the order as needed. But you want Shakti as soon as you can. You want to start working on her with her clones, who you're going to get from Fleet Store, a lot of different currencies. You're going to farm Arc Trooper from the Cantina, which I didn't really show him. But that's going to be necessary to unlock Ki-Adi-Mundi and make you attracted to a guild that's doing Geonosia's territory battle. That's why you want to prioritize him. A B1 Battle Droid's good for a Grievous team. Nest is kind of good at soloing early in the game because she just gets a lot of stacking protection from being hit. And that Outrider is Dash Rendar's ship, and it's a strong Rebel ship, so pick it up when you can. One of my favorite game modes in the whole game is Grand Arena. This is where you go head-to-head with one other player. This unlocks at level 85, and it takes your whole roster against their whole roster. You set your defenses and then attack theirs. Your beginner squads, which are going to get you through most of the game, aren't necessarily going to be your focuses for Grand Arena. Like, Phoenix is not a good team end-game or mid-game. It's just a beginner team for unlocking stuff, even for their ships. They're actually useful in an endgame fleet, but I don't even have them developed very far yet. And then your first light side team other than Phoenix, you want Jedi under Bastila. She gives tons of bonus protection, or protection up, which makes them very hard to kill. And then you want an Empire team. This is kind of a rudimentary lineup with easy to get characters, but you can mix up, add Mara Jade in there as soon as you possibly can. But Palpatine, Vader, Mara Jade are the essential. Thrawn is good, and then you could add like Moff Gideon or something if you don't have full troopers. But then there's a lot of other target core squads you want to build up to, and these are kind of like the end goals for each squad. You got a Jedi Revan team with various Jedi. Yoda goes the best with him. Yoda also is going to go under Bastila as soon as you unlock him, until you get Giant Revan, and then you split these teams up like this. I put Mace here because you just need a tank. You really want a tank, and he's very good. I got a Padme team with these great Galactic Republic characters. Commander Luke Skywalker team. This is an expensive team. There's only like one marquee in here. This is Journey Guide, Guild Event, Journey Guide. But it's an amazing team. And then Shakti is very important because it can do a lot of damage in the Sith raid before you get Supreme Leader Kylo, and you need them to unlock Ki-Adi-Mundi. And then we got some target dark side teams, which is Imperial Troopers and Geonosians, which we're working on early. And then up to Sith Empire with Darth Revan. There's a great team. Something Marauder, you have to pick him up later. I think he's in the Cantina. And then we got a Traya team with Sion and Nihilus, her buddies. You already got Talon from unlocking Starkiller. And then Savage Press. But any Sith can go with her, except you really want Nihilus and Sion. And then a Separatist Droids team, omitting Droidica because Newt is honestly better in this team than Droidica. Then we got a couple of mixed squads that you're going for. We got Bounty Hunters, which can use a lot of different stuff, but kind of the core is Bossk, Mandalorian, Grief Karga, and this is Fennec Shand. She hits 5 times on her basic, so she's not needed specifically for any kind of unlocks, but you want to get her if you can. You can even use her as one of the characters to unlock Chewbacca if you have enough resources to get her. And then we got Starkiller, who uniquely mixes teams, and he's going to steal Palpatine and Mara Jade away from Darth Vader, and you're going to have to make something work with him otherwise. But these are kind of some core squads you want to go for in the game. So if you don't know what you actually want to build towards, these are all great characters, all great teams. that you want other than Galactic Legends teams. I just want to give some parting other pieces of advice before I finish up. Number one, set your daily reset time to match your schedule. So for me, I have my daily reset not at midnight, but at 7 p.m. Because I can get some Fleet Arena battles in during my lunchtime while I'm working. And that way I get my bonus energy early and throughout the day, and I don't have to wait till late at night to do things. And I kind of just do my daily activities at night when I'm just relaxing. And if that reset at midnight, it would be something I'd rush in the morning. And don't forget to grab your free energy. This defaults to noon, 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., but it'll change based on when you reset your schedule. And that is very important. I can't stress enough. And then switch up this plan, this guide, if you see something you really want. This isn't like a dominating path. It's just my advice on what I think is most effective for starting the game brand new in 2023. There's lots of characters not covered in this guide, so don't think that this guide is everything. If you see something that's really good, and I did mention it, it's not because I don't know it's there, don't know it's good, just because I'm trying to focus on unlocking stuff and getting beginner teams. And then lastly, don't gear up and level everything. Gear and credits and training droids are scarce resources, so only focus on good teams that are going to be good on their own, or are going to unlock something to make another good team. And just focus on ships. Like, don't gear up like Mob Enforcer or Coruscant Underworld Police or as something just because you have them. Let a lot of characters sit at Gear 1, Level 1. And that's it. This is only the beginning of the game. If you follow this guide, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a nice experience. You're going to enjoy it, and then you're going to come out eventually being a competitive player, and you're going to decide for yourself what you want to do. If any experienced players are watching this, they're probably going to have some complaints, but this is based on assuming that someone has no experience in this game at all. If you're an experienced player and you want to rush something specifically, and you're buying the Hyperdrive bundle, which I didn't talk about, but it's kind of like a cheat code. It's $50 and you get tons of stuff. You get right to level 85. That changes things up. This is assuming you don't buy the Hyperdrive bundle, because a lot of players want to play this game and they can't really afford to spend on it. It's like students or younger people, when it's not really responsible to spend money on a mobile game. I don't spend money anyway on this game, but there's situations where you can do so responsibly. But let me know what you think. What would you want to change? If you're an experienced player, what do you think I'm off my rocker on? If you're a new player, are you excited to play the game? If you've been playing a little bit, do you think this will help you change up what you're doing already? I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think.